Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for the last day of the Nextv Series Europe and CEE. We hope that for the two previous days, you had some insightful session. And for today, we have prepared three interesting panels. So as you can see on the screen, so we'll be having a panel on pay TV technology leaders strategic insight. Then we'll move on to CEE broadcasters strategic insight. And finally, we'll be having the panel on pay TV operators OTT D2C strategies. So to kickstart the first session of the day, so we'll start with the panel pay TV technology leaders strategic insight. So we have Magnus from Tele, Chris from Liberty Global, Nicolas from Zattoo, Cédric from Canal Plus International, Yuliya from A1 Telekom Austria Group. So the panel will be moderated by Anna Schaffer, independent consultant and managing director of Big Picture. So Annette, you have the floor, you may start.
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you very much. Also a very warm welcome from my side this morning. So we have today, starting the day with the third strategic insight panel, this time about pay TV technology. And I'm excited to introduce you to the panelists. I did that already, but I would really like to have each of the panelists individually to talk a little bit about what they're doing in these organizations. I think that would set the stage very well. They're all responsible for various markets, various technologies, I assume, and catering to different audiences. And yeah, I would love Yuliya to start this. Ladies first. Can you talk a little bit about to the audience what you're doing for Telekom Austria and the A1 group in technology on the pay TV technology side?
Sure, thanks Annette, and welcome everyone to the panel. I'm Yuliya Daineko. I'm working in the Telekom Austria group holding that operates on 7 markets in CEE region, and 6 out of 7 markets have also, besides the mobile service, also the fixed infrastructure and also run the different TV services. In the group, we deploy and develop the products that might have an interest to be launched and across the majority of our markets, and the TV is one of those. That's why we stepped into this idea to launch one to-all solution in TV domain several years ago, and we are very happy in the end of the last year to launch it out in one of the markets, and till today, which is less than 1 year, we have already operation in 4 markets now. And I think we'll have a lot of the opportunities today to discuss, and I can share what exactly we've done so far. Just a few words to mention. We have markets with very different technologies. So it's cable, it's IPTV, it's own infrastructure, it's rented infrastructure. And I think it's one of the very good things which I can say that we reached this to have quite a one solution that fits different technologies.
Thank you. Chris, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My name is Chris Lindhe. I'm responsible in Liberty Global for the development of the entertainment platforms and entertainment CP. So within Liberty Global, we do centralized product development and technology development for a variety of operating countries, big brands such as Virgin Media, Vodafone, Ziggo, Telenet, UPC in Switzerland, UPC obviously in Poland. And for those brands, we developed their entertainment portfolio. One of the flagships is obviously the recent launch of the mini TV box that we've launched, including our Horizon ecosystem that's based on RDK. Aside from the entertainment product portfolio, we obviously also do connectivity centrally. We've got, similar to Yuliya, we've got a variety of technologies out there. Obviously, our heritage sits in cable, but nowadays we're obviously also big in mobile, building an FMC strategy, and really kind of also accessing fiber-based homes and DSL.
That's quite a lot. Cédric, would you like to go next? I mean, you operating, I think you have the broadest remit of all of the panelists here today. Not only operating in European markets, but also you operating across continents, right?
You're right. Thank you, Annette. So I'm Yuliya. I'm in charge of broadcast and set-top box for Canal International. And as you said, we are in Europe for sure, but also on the other continents with Asia in 2 countries, Myanmar and Vietnam, but also in African markets and in French overseas territories. So we cover all the world with TV. TV is our core business compared to my other panelists. We are for sure in DTH. This is still our core business. We're working on DTT as well in Africa and in Myanmar, and we also work on OTT now to prepare the future. And we also have already some products to address this multi-screen strategy.
Oh, that's impressive, Cédric. Thank you very much. Magnus, what about the Nordics? What's the market looks there from a technology standpoint? Magnus, are you there? Magnus, are you on mute? I don't know. Maybe we continue with Nicolas, because Nicolas, you also not only operating your own platform, as we just learned in preparing for this meeting, but also you have customers in very different markets. So it would be good to understand for the audience what Zattoo is doing in these markets, or what is your role in the organization?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolas Westermann. Compared to Cédric, I think Zattoo comes from the opposite direction. We are coming not from the cable, we're coming from the OTT side. So we are running our own OTT business across Europe already since 2005. What turned then afterwards also into a B2B direction. So today Zattoo is a TV as a service platform offering the OTT service for Zattoo for sure, but also for 30 other operators, their TV service across Europe and the US. So it's basically, we combine also every different angle of the devices and of the technologies in one platform as of today. My role is head of product with Zattoo. I'm in the operative team, focusing on customer collaboration and customer innovation. So when we talk about pay TV, emerging markets, when we talk about new technologies, this is something we are striving to collaborate with customers, with the big customers, to find the new spots of technology where we need to place an eye on and the new strategies we need to follow. And this is my experience, my role in the company. I'm with Zattoo now for 5 years, coming more from the television segment. But this is quite exciting to see all those developments emerging right now in all the different technologies, basically in the direction of streaming, right? So basically our past is the future of the TV right now, as it feels at least, but it will be exciting to hear also the other opinions today, where we come from and where we lead to.
I think what you just mentioned is key in a moment. You have to maintain a lot of technologies in parallel. You have to run different systems. You have to deploy different devices. So I think it's, even as we go on all OTT and we go on all to cloud operations, but I think the way the path to that is still being, you have to maintain while you already develop the future, right? So, and you have to find a balance between what you invest. We are also talking a lot on technology, from transforming from CapEx to OpEx models, so on and so forth. But it's good to understand how you cope with these, with maintaining the past and developing the future, so to speak. Chris, would you like to go ahead on this, or one of you would take that as a subject?
It's a company, and also our operating countries, we're very cost sensitive. So when it comes down to managing costs, scale matters, and that's why we're doing centralized product and innovation. Because if we are growing a central platform strategy with a central set of boxes that are accompanying that are compatible with that ecosystem, then you are kind of playing the scale game, and you can actually create cost synergy. So Right now, cloud is obviously something that we're very much invested in. Our video back office completely virtualized, delivering both the services to our Go platforms as well as to the set-top boxes. And our set-top boxes become smaller and cost efficient over time as well. If we look at 8-9 years ago, we had huge boxes that we deployed. Recently, we deployed a box that is half the size of an iPhone 8. And it's no longer perceived as a set-top box. It's really perceived as a stream device. So as Nicolas already mentioned, this is that we're moving into a streaming world, and set-top boxes go that direction. The way we manage our video backend are going into that direction, and that's driven by three things. It's driven by customer demand, customer experience. They really want to get access to that full breadth of content, all brought together in a great user interface. It's driven by kind of the cost spiral, just to make sure that we make it economically feasible, because obviously there are some big parties that are driving cost sensitivity as well, and it's the quality. Customers are still taking our service also because it's high quality. It's obviously also high quality from a content provider point of view. It's encrypted. It's so from that point of view, being cost sensitive and driving cloud and innovation in the set-top boxes is really key. And that's something that we've been starting a couple of years ago, and again, our kind of our next-gen platforms, which are being scaled across multiple operating countries, are kind of a result of that. Yeah.
So scale, so cloud operations, especially less investments in devices, or not so heavy devices, but there maybe then more devices instead of one single set-top box. How you cope with Telekom Austria? How do you cope with these changing demand from customers, Yuliya?
Just maybe a few words also to mention on the economy of scale. So we also go into the direction of the one unified box and also one unified platform. I see the pluses there, not only on the cost side, but also in the ability to drive it faster to the market. So we've seen that the first market we launched, it requires us a couple of years to prepare everything, but every new one is less than 1 year. And that's obviously the big plus for the markets we joined later. I would still see us in the bit of the beginning when it comes to unification. So we still run the different, let's say, infrastructures, the pipelines and the video ingestion and so on the markets. And we slowly move into this unification mode. So we started with the platform and the set-top box, and we see now how operationally we can also have a synergy.
And Cédric, I mean, you have as we already learned, the most diverse footprint. I would be interested to hear if it's possible to deploy one device, one platform, that approach that Telekom Austria Group and Liberty is taking, if that also would apply to Canal Plus and the markets that you're operating in.
Yeah, we're trying to have the same approach than Chris and Yuliya. But as you said, we have different markets, very different markets, emerging ones and mature ones. And to answer business needs, we need to have, we cannot afford to have only one unique platform. So to answer this, we create two range of products, a very low-end product to answer our lower ARPU markets. So this is driven by cost-effective set-top box, and this is pure DTH. I mean, the main goal, the main challenge for this set-top box is only to broadcast a live TV and to allow people watching TV without any issue to access streams just once they have subscribed to the content. So this is our main challenge for emerging markets, and this is our main growth. I mean, it's Africa, it's Asia, it's also freemium in European territories like M7 territories. And on the other end, we have a mature market where we need to have best-in-class set-top box. I mean, set-top box hybrid with DTH and OTT to bring replay, VOD contents, and on this side, we have a strategy, a unique approach strategy with the group, with the friends, with French overseas, like I said, and also Poland, where we try to converge with a unique backend and a unique platform. One of the other challenge is to have a multi-supplier strategy, just to avoid to cut our growth if we have any issue with the supplier.
Magnus, are you back? Good to see you. You
I hope so. Can you hear me? Then wave.
Oh, I can hear you. Hello.
That's the most common word during 2020. You're on mute. So you want me to make an introduction?
So we revert back a couple minutes. So first of all, Magnus, good to have you back. Please do me a favor and give the audience a short intro about what you're doing, what you're operating in, and then we go back to our more deeply digital technology discussion. Sorry about that, but we couldn't see you, we couldn't hear you for a while.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm Magnus Lindhe. I'm division manager TV technology at Tele2. Tele2 is not a very common or famous TV brand, but we're operating the brands Comhem and Boxer. Boxer is the pay TV terrestrial operator that we purchased 3 years ago, and Comhem is by far the largest cable network in the Nordic area. So we distribute services on almost every platform apart from satellite. So we have DVB-T, DVB-C, IPTV, and that's our legacy business. And we're not putting, I would say that it's an important business to maintain, but we all know that pay TV is, although we don't have the cord cutting that we see in the US, it's still slightly declining. Fortunately, not as much as on other markets. But my daily work is to 80% providing OTT services and providing a hybrid DVB OTT box on the market.
That's quite interesting. I mean, that you're saying that already 80% is OTT, right? So, but as I said in the beginning, or when you were not there, it's really the balance between maintaining the legacy and also deploying more services and more devices to the market, right? At the same ARPU, or probably at the same side of return of investment. Nicolas, what is the situation from your point of view as being an operator and as well being a supplier in the industry? Do you see the same developments, or is it rather something that you think it will eventually all go into, say, Android operated tier, or one device, or not one device, but I think one technology stack and one service?
Yeah, so the current situation for us is not like that one unique solution fits everything. We do have kind of an Android TV white label strategy where we cater various customers with one specific box, but all these customers are in the same range, I would say, of price sensitivity. We also do have other strategies, what we, especially in countries with a higher financial power like Switzerland, where we see, for instance, Apple TV as set-top box replacement coming up or kicking in. And those two are totally different when it comes to the base technology you need behind, right? You need to cater an Apple TV completely different with different services. What we also see, and that was one point I wanted to mention and to add to the maintenance topic, where even if we come from the streaming side, we do see that the legal rights in terms of the operator offerings, what we are able to achieve, are still a bit behind the technology. So what we do right now, for instance, is we port teletext and HbbTV back to Android TV to fulfill legal requirements when it comes to TV distribution across the European market. So to mix those elements of the old world of television together with the new streaming infrastructures and streaming services on the devices is quite also a challenging part, which is not just maintenance, but also like kind of porting the legacy where it's necessary. in this transition phase to the streaming world. So just to an extension to what also Cédric said before, it'll be interesting also to later on talk a bit more into the hybrid direction. But so for the current stake, I would say we do see the big giants kicking in. So Apple discovering the operator market as target segment. We see Android on the rise. I'm curious really how Huawei will do over the next years, because they were kind of like, for the mobile segment, kicked out of the Android area. They are coming up now with Harmony, with their own operating system, and I know they will also target the TV sets in the future. So let's see how that will go. For us, it's basically the power in delivering a backend which is able to cater everything, and then staying flexible with various teams on the end consumer device side. That's basically the strategy we are following right now.
Is that also you, as operators' point of view, that you maintain the backend and you be prepared to deploy to every device that the customer will use in the future? And what's your take as an operator on that, Magnus or Chris? Because you have a very strong stack also on the set-top box side. I mean, the Horizon is quite a powerful
I think
device. Yeah.
I think what we need to do is simply follow where the customer is going, and obviously from our perspective, any screen is a screen, and we're there where the customer wants us to be, and that means sometimes being on a set-top box. We also have our Go applications that are running on Apple TV and Android TV and Fire TV across markets, and those are very successful propositions, especially in multi-room situations where customers are trying to get our services on kind of the second TV set within their bedroom or in the kitchen. With regard to set-top boxes, it's always very interesting because historically we've been talking about the death of a set-top box, and if you think about it, with Google developing Sabrina, Apple obviously developing the Apple TV, these are set-top boxes as well. And obviously this is just a form factor discussion in terms of and it's an ecosystem discussion about people that like to have their device in Apple. They're probably more inclined to buy an Apple TV. People that are more into the Google ecosystem, they're probably more inclined to buy Android TV. You got obviously smart TVs that have Android TV kind of operating systems. I think the key thing for us is again to have indeed to your point, we got this cloud-based video backend. The way we are developing our products is also with the intent to be compatible with all of those screens and all of those kind of UI paradigms, because obviously building a user interface for an Apple TV platform has different requirements than, for example, for Android TV, even between operator tier and kind of as a regular app. The key thing with regard to our set-top box is obviously that right now we've harmonized the code as well across our hardware devices in terms of using the RDK, the power of RDK, which is obviously a platform, an ecosystem that is by operators and for operators, and that's obviously giving us quite some benefits, because we take control of our own destiny when it comes down to developing the best interface for set-top boxes as such. But I think the key thing is we need to follow where the customer is going. I think this is obviously a technology discussion, and from our perspective, these are hammers, and we just need to pick up the right hammer to build the user interface for the customer, depending on the screen that he's at. So yeah.
Picking up the right hammer, I think it's a good analogy, so a good picture. So Magnus, what do you think is the right hammer to pick? I mean, it's Android operated here. Is it still? I mean, it gets very fragmented, and I think also from a buyer perspective, I mean, you have all these OTT devices, you have these operated devices. So I think, it's also a challenge, I think, for the consumer to decide, or not a challenge, but I think you don't want to have 4 or 5 different devices in the home probably to watch some video.
I mean, it is a challenge, and I agree with Chris that we want to be where the customers are, but from my perspective, it's also an economical issue. I can't be on every device, like comparing to Netflix. That is, we need to do intelligent decision on which platform we're on. And I think we took the approach 3 years ago when we launched the Android TV box. It's a DVB-T, it's a DVB-C, it's an IPTV, and it's an OTT streaming device. And we can deploy it on all platforms to all customers. And it was a very, I would say at the time, very advanced. It didn't have numerical keys, things like that. And I do think that it has been a success all over our different platforms. But we have a growing older segment in I think all of Europe, and they really like their old remote control with buttons, a simple set-top box. And then on the other hand, we have these youngsters that are looking for, I mean, they change their subscription on a monthly basis. So I think the challenge here is to navigate the complete span of the customers that we're looking at. And sometimes when I talk to my product peers, I say that what we're doing is we develop products for the customers we would like to have, not for the customers that we have. Which is, so I mean, it's a extremely complex world we're navigating in, and we need to provide products for all of these segments, and they will look different. I don't have an answer, but that's where we navigate and try to understand.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. You don't have a single product and device strategy like an Apple or like an app thing like Netflix, and you're always being compared to those, but this is not what that's one part of your service, what you do, right? You bring TV or video on demand to the customer, but the customer has much other needs that it also been, from a telco perspective, they're buying from you as an operator. So you're carrying a mixed bag of services, and you're operating in different markets, while these multinationals usually pick and choose where they want to operate in, right? So you see, for example, Netflix not deployed in the CEE market. They can really go market by market, as Amazon also did it as well when they deployed the e-commerce. They started in UK and Germany, and now they're growing growing their footprint in Europe. But you have certain markets that you need to cater. You have fragmented audiences, you have different age groups, so on and so forth. So there's not one size probably fits all, but again, I mean, there will be, maybe not, we won't find the answer to that here in this discussion, but it would be good to understand where is the possibilities that you at least reach a good amount of your customers through technology. And Yuliya, you have also very different markets. Is there some things that you see that harmonize them, or where you can harmonize your technology operation to overcome that sort of go-to-market and the fragmenting in the go-to-market?
I quite fully subscribe what Magnus say. It should be business driven. There are a lot of fancy steps you can do, but if there is no significant business behind, it doesn't make sense to me. I wanted to share the following view when it comes to the set-top box and OTT, and obviously the multi-screen solution in the households. But we also see that there is still quite a good potential future in this aggregation mode, when you can bring the customer not only all your services, but also other video services, and also maybe something which goes beyond video services. So whatever local solution like be complementary for the customers in the household. And we also experienced over the past half a year that we stay more and more at home, and this remote work and being more in the household, I kind of think that, TV screen or whatever setup we have in home will play much more and more a role in the future. So, and if we consider that the content aggregation idea in mind, we understand it also links with the set-top box strategy. So you still need to have an area where you can build these services on or bring these services to the customer on. That's why I think that set-top box definitely maybe not the end of the game yet, although we might bring the different solutions also in addition there. So we approach, again, keeping in mind this still a bit one-to-all approach when it comes to the OTT services in the future. We're quite in the beginning of that one on our markets, but we look on the business where there is the biggest potential demand stays. That's exactly the areas we would like to tackle. And when it comes to the smart TV in the future, we rather consider what could be done in the unified mode, maybe like SDK approach, rather than developing from the scratch each of the applications.
Yeah, we heard that yesterday already a couple of times, and there's a super aggregation fatigue already that people say this is not the way out. But I also strongly believe in this, that you have to stay relevant, and aggregation is probably one of the ways to stay relevant for your customer. But also that comes with a lot of technology challenges if you want to go this route and take this route and want to be, say, the gatekeeper or the one who orchestrates, so to speak, the access to the services, right? I think technology-wise, this is also not a easy task to do, right? So we touch a bit, Nicolas touched a bit on that already, about the hybrid solutions. What is your experience with hybrid deployments or hybrid solutions where you offer access and content, or hybrid in the sense of different access technology, as Magnus just explained? So you cater to different access points. Nicolas, what was your take on that? What you heard also from the other panelists? I mean, what's your thoughts about going hybrid, or what was it, what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so currently we are really observing that the direction where this goes to with hybrid. We see hybrid currently really as kind of a transition phase into the streaming landscape and into the streaming world. That was also one comment I wanted to make on what Magnus said. We can't be on every device. I see it a bit different. We can be on every device where the user is, basically, but I think we need to choose which base technology we want to use. So we can't do OTT on every device and hybrid on every device and cable on every device in the same offering. This is something where the feature set is not something what the user understands at the end. So for us, it's kind of like we had one hybrid excurse, I would say. We used to have a Linux-based hybrid set-top box in place with a customer, and this customer just migrated with us from the cable world using hybrid to the OTT world. So we started to take the linear channels from the cable. We added all unicast technology on top. We did the net PVR recordings on top. We did recall catch-up TV on top over unicast. And then at a certain point in time, when the network was mature enough, they cut the cable, basically, and are now a complete IPTV operator just in this streaming world. And this is a trend what we hope to see in the next years, because this is basically our belief that streaming is the future, and that we need to bridge the time until the network is basically in the situation to carry all the traffic we want to have in every dots where we need to place it. And one phrase maybe to cord cutting, for us, it's all the same. We don't want to cut the cord. We just want to have the right signal flowing through the cord, basically.
Maybe in response to that, I completely agree with Nicolas. The future is IP, and actually the future is already happening. As already called out, we've recently launched a kind of a full IP box into Poland, which again is perceived as a streaming, and we can talk about it OTT or IPTV, but in the end, the customer does not care about how those services are delivered. So what the natures of the cord look like. Our cord is Wi-Fi, so obviously that's interesting as well. I think especially the network element. Indeed, we've been heavily investing in our connectivity network, with also the giganet, the DOCSIS, obviously high speeds, blanketing houses with good solid Wi-Fi. So in terms of making that transition from traditional DVB, DVB-T, and going through that hybrid into IP. We started a couple of years ago with putting VOD and replay into the IP space. Now we're actually going all IP, and it's just giving us great opportunities, because the more boxes end up on that IP plant, the more kind of synergies we can create with our connectivity capacity. Because from our perspective, we're delivering both, and that means that as soon as you can bring all the entertainment traffic towards IP, you create those synergies. And those IP flows are already happening, because if we are not the ones utilizing it, it's obviously somebody else, like a Netflix on a smart TV, that's already utilizing that same connectivity. The key thing for us is to make sure that we sweat our networks, because obviously underutilization means that you are having a waste in the investments that you've made, and moving entertainment to all IP, obviously in a responsible way, making sure that you have quality of service, that you kind of do it in a business smart way, but doing it is going to be inevitable, and we're making big steps into that direction. And whether we call it streaming or OTT or kind of all IP, in the end, it's an improvement of the customer experience, because he no longer has to wire his whole house, whether it's Ethernet cables or whether it's coaxial cables or whether it's any other type of cable, just to kind of get his favorite channels into his TV, because he's not used to it anymore. He just wants to buy the TV, put it on a stand, pull it in the power plug, and just enjoy service. And that's something that we're obviously moving towards.
Yeah, maybe to complete your answer, Chris, I think there are two keys in IP delivery. We have to secure the way we are able to deliver the video to customer. I mean, we are talking about VOD contents, but as we are migrating our DVB contents, live contents in IP, we also have to secure the delivery of live TV contents, and this is a CDN issue. I mean, on our side, we have our head end in Paris, but we have customers in French overseas territories in Africa, and we have to build some CDN to make this experience as fluid as in DVB. So this is one of the key issue to address. The other one is about piracy. I mean, we have some anti-piracy team to avoid that kind of activities. It was well established in DVB, but with this internet mode, it's a worldwide piracy now. So we have to straighten our teams to be able to have that kind of piracy on the internet. So DRM, watermarking technologies are keys in this way to migrate this DVB technology in IP.
Have some of you experienced the same sort of developments, that you have to invest more in anti-piracy measures because if you're moving to IP and various markets that Cédric has just described? Is that one of the key challenges, or is it because he has a very particular broad remit of distribution in very different markets and continents?
No, I think it's a big challenge because the piracy is not anymore local. You can have content from Africa everywhere in the world with IP. Yeah. So this is the main difference between between now and the world before.
That's a valid point. It's a valid point, but also thinking about what Chris just described now, so Nicolas, about the hybrid world and the IP world. What is your thought from a technology standpoint regarding having more devices in the home? What we see from the Google and the Amazons moving into the IoT, Internet of Things. Some US operators already have many more than 2 devices in the home on average, and so securing the access to the home. What are your thoughts from a technology standpoint to deploy in the future? Maybe you already do that in certain areas of the home, but going beyond, say, the pay TV technology. So also thinking about, routers, lightning systems and other things, and connecting them to that TV experience.
So the one thing is the hardware question. So is the device itself kind of a hub in the household of the user? This is where Android potentially goes, where also Apple is dealing with. We don't see yet a tendency to really mix the TV experience with the control of other devices. TV is a service for itself. It's not like something you need urgently to combine now with the control of the heating. Maybe the light situation would be something of interest. What we see right now is the first technological change is really the voice integration, to have all the various voice methods which are living in the house, be it Siri, be it Alexa, be it the Google Assistant. This is the first technical challenge, especially if you offer an own cross-device service where you incorporate all the technologies. So we had also one question already, if we could bridge technology-wise Amazon Alexa with an Apple TV control, which is basically something which is pretty hard to achieve, because you would be the one who just bridges technological gaps for the big tech guys, right? And they could just like destroy it with one single operating system update. So these are the challenges which are out there. Which service does the user apply to control everything in his household, and how do we want to manage the control of the TV set and the TV experience in relation to that? Honestly, we don't have the answer yet. So we are doing a lot of things with Google Assistant. We're doing a lot of things with Alexa, but we don't have the, I would say, the understanding of, or the goal reached now that the user has a complete barrier-free control about his whole TV offering while he uses an Echo in his kitchen or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's still not the case. It's still a new technology which is emerging right now, where the commands are missing. The native behavior of a user is not covered with the right wordings in the how you trigger the voice search and stuff like that. This is something which is still on development, where we utilize the technology what the big guys are developing and trying to make the best experience out of that, basically.
Chris, you wanted to say something because you raised your hand, or was it more bad?
Yeah. I think there's indeed two elements to this question. So with regard to smart home, that's obviously a natural fit with especially the connectivity proposition that we have. If smart home is leaning on connectivity, especially the current COVID period has kind of the customers are kind of reappreciating the services that we're delivering in the connectivity space, in the entertainment space. So obviously, all of our operating countries are obviously doing in some shape or form something with regards to smart home. With regards to voice specifically, we've been deploying our voice enabled remote controls for a little bit over 2 years right now. Great success. It's a push to talk. So actually, with regards to privacy concerns, etc., we're also kind of less exposed there. Actually, not exposed. So what we see is that the adoption is just tremendous. And I agree with Nicolas, is that when it comes down, because all the use cases are very much focused on discovery and navigating the kind of the TV environment. So within that kind of that closed the closed ecosystem of use cases, we see that the adoption is really tremendous. So it's over 70% of the customers are using voice on a regular basis. So that shows that voice control has a great potential. Obviously, I agree also with Nicolas about the kind of the adoption curve. You see, depending on the market, that Alexa and Google Assistant are kind of getting into that major adoption with really kind of growing base of customers, but indeed the kind of the use cases need to grow beyond kind of setting a timer and kind of turning on and off your light. So that kind of that journey for customers, that learning journey needs to kind of still fully develop. But once it's kind of developed, and this is again where we're kind of following customers, is there is no rationale to kind of keep our ecosystem out of those controlled environments, because it does not make sense for a customer to, depending on the use case, to find out whether he needs to call out hey Google or hey Alexa or hey Ziggo, whatever wake word he uses. So I think in the end, the smart home is currently suffering a bit of kind of fragmentation, and there's obviously been kind of reports about kind of collaboration on that front, because I think everybody recognizes it from a customer point of view. It's not a great experience to having to choose the ecosystem that you want to be using, whether it's HomeKit or Assistant or Alexa. Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is that the customer is challenged by the different ecosystems and how you fit into this, right?
I think right now, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
You have to choose the ecosystem up front and build out from that, because I've got a robo lawn mower and that works nicely with my Google, but I can't get it into HomeKit. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, it's more when you talk to your US operators, they also saw over the years declining ARPU in the TV landscape and higher ARPUs in the broadband side, but they pretty much have now on average between 10, 12 different devices in the home that they're upselling from the set-top box. So the set-top box is still the Trojan horse or the TV receiver. I don't know what it is. It's an Android operator here, but they're now deploying more and more devices. And I think that is really it's a great strategy to have, but I think it's also it puts another layer of complexity. We're already managing linear on demand, becoming from digital to IP. So we have different transport layers, so satellite, cable, and so I think it's a different part of the overall strategy, I guess, from a technology standpoint. But I think quite challenging, as Chris just explained, quite challenging to deploy, or even more challenging, I think, to operate in. What is your thoughts about that, Magnus? What do you see? What could you become the role of the operator in the home, and what else could, from a technology standpoint, deploy there?
No, I think T is finally a mature technology that we can deploy. I mean, we talked about smart home for a very long time, but I don't think that the TV and the TV hub or that's going to be the entry point to IoTs in the home. I mean, we're Tele2 is a mobile. We operate mobile networks, broadband networks, and television, and I think we will approach it from a mobile point of view, not from a technology point of view. I hope that the devices I have from the TV side will be able to connect to the IoT in the homes, but it's not going to be the hub of providing IoT services.
Yuliya, any thoughts from your side or from your markets? Yeah.
Yes, and I think it's a bit of the same reflection, like Chris said, that how it's and Magnus, it's not about the hub of it, but it's about where you see the synergy in the use cases. And obviously, we have also the smart home solutions in our markets, and we also have music solutions in our markets. And the question is, do we see that there are possibilities to integrate certain of the use cases with the TV landscape? And it might be alarms, and it might be also the video, actually, recordings you see from your outdoor camera or whatever signal comes from there. So basically, you're still in front of the big TV screen. Maybe that could be the use case. We search for the opportunity to see if there are some devices as a hubs could be kind of bulked together. So mainly it's a smart home gateway and maybe modem, which comes to the household, not the set-top box, but rather that set. We see there is a possibility, but again, if the markets are quite price sensitive, it usually goes very high price, above €100, and so. So I would rather see again that we might consider TV as a screen to connect different use cases with different services as well, but maybe not the hub as a device.
But then saying that, I think you all pretty much agree on that. So that means that you have to be outside the set-top box, also then deploying new services on various ecosystems, having a proper OTT strategy that allows your customers who choose another device still to receive your your service or can receive your service, right? So that I think that's also, yeah.
Yeah, true. So, and the best case would be if that we can enable the way how the customer might connect different devices, or by using the use cases, but the different devices, no matter if it's our operator ones or bought on the market, we are the defined technology behind.
So that the challenge that lies ahead of you is pretty much what we already touched a bit on, is that you have to deploy different technologies, and you have to have an OTT and app strategy, but also you have to have the network related technology you need to maintain. So what do you think? I mean, we have 50 minutes left. I just get a note here from the team. What do you see as your biggest challenges, say, in the next 12 to 18 months from a technology standpoint? What is changing? I mean, we touched a little bit on the various DRM systems that Cédric pointed out. We know that we have a different regulatory framework. I think that's also when it comes down to content deployment. We have recently seen that the multinational, international suppliers like Netflix are being asked to deploy more local content. So from the content side, I think the changes that lay ahead of us in this industry is pretty clear. But from a technology standpoint, is there something that you could say these are the 2 or 3 key points that we need to address, or these are the key challenges? Because coming out of hopefully coming out of this COVID crisis next year, Chris, you raised your hand. Is there something that is really raising urgent, where you think that's things we need to resolve, or that is something that we definitely need to address?
Yeah, it's something in terms of challenge, and obviously challenge is a good thing because it puts you to work. But I think the key thing here is obviously continuing to play that scale game, and making sure that you're also kind of you're able to do the onboarding of apps as easy as possible. Apps are the new broadcasters. They bring content. Content is king. You're not taken seriously by customers if you are not having the players that they expect to have. And there are partners in a similar way as broadcasters historically have been as well. We create scale for them by kind of linking them to eyeballs. We create that stickiness also because obviously our customers are kind of typically taking our services for a longer time, and it's about finding the right ways to make sure that you can create that scale together and monetize it. And if you look at it from a technology point of view, again, what we're doing within RDK is that we are really working with RDK4 to kind of create more standardization for app developers, to make it much more easier for an app developer to create an app from Comcast and to kind of reutilize that app in multi-choice or in Vodafone or whatever else. And I think that's the key thing, is to kind of keep treating each other as partners, play that scale game, make sure that the technology becomes much more standardized so that we can easier onboard apps, because in the end it's about making sure that the customer gets access to the right content that they really want to look for, and be the aggregator of choice. So bring that together in that user experience with that voice-enabled remote control, putting it in either on an app on somebody else's platform, or kind of rolling it out in a set-top box and sticking it behind the TV, Wi-Fi enabled. That's key. And if we keep on playing that game and making sure that we keep on following that challenge of making sure that it becomes easier for apps to be on those platforms that have been scaled, that's key for customers.
Yeah, I agree to that this is key for customers, but we already see that on Android TV and on Apple TV, right? So that we do have already there the infrastructure and the app ecosystem. It's already living there, so we just need to connect them. This is our challenge for the next year, definitely, to build those bridges between the content discovery of a TV service and the content which lives in the apps of certain vendors like Netflix, like Amazon Prime, to get all this together, to combine it also in personalization. How do you get content from Amazon Prime in the reco engine of your TV service when it comes to partnerings. This is something what we see definitely the challenge for the next year, and fits to what Chris said.
So Chris saying scale, you say it's convenience. It's yeah, giving a customer the ability to find what they're looking for. But what else could it be? I mean, what else is, I mean, time to market, I think, is also very important. So building an ecosystem where you can onboard as many partners or app partners, or you want to call them, to your platform or to your service or to your UI UX. What else is one of the challenges that lays ahead of you, Cédric? Is there something you want to point out to the audience?
Yeah, I fully agree with what was said before, with this ability to integrate third-party apps. As you know, SOC vendor integrates some apps, and I think as a TV operator, we have to get this integration, to understand what apps are integrated on which chipset, to make the good choice when you design a new set-top box. So I fully agree with this ecosystem that we have to create, to correctly address the TTM, to integrate in the easier way, easiest way, these new apps. So of course, on Canal Plus side, we used to have our tailor-made solution. We have our own ecosystem, as Chris said, with RDK, which is mutualized with other cable operators. On Canal Plus side, we are doing it ourselves. I think it's core business for us, so that's the reason why we handle it directly. And it's a big challenge to look forward, to check how we can integrate in the easiest way more and more application. And as you said, we also have to help our subscriber to select their content, the content they want to watch, using a search engine. And in this way, I think we do not have only to check their personalized data, to propose them the content they want to watch. I think we, as TV operator, we also have editorial skills. And I think this is part of added value we have to propose some thematics of contents to these customers. It comes from Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus, or Canal Plus for my part. I think we have to share all these contents and to create some thematics for our subscribers, to help them to in this entertainment, and not to have a list of contents endless.
Okay.
So I think this is key for the future, to have a real search engine which answers the customer's needs.
But I always compare the metadata and search challenge similar to the challenge that you onboarding all of your content partners, right? It's a huge task for especially multi-language operators. I mean, if you operate in UK and US, it's very, I think it's much easier to build that sort of meta search or meta recommendations. Here it's I think if you operate in different languages, it's a much bigger task to take on. So Magnus, Julia, what are your challenges laying ahead of you? I mean, is there anything particular that, or is that pretty much in line with Chris and Nicolas and Cédric already pointed out, or is it something that things that you think is interesting for the audience to understand?
I agree on the third-party app integration. That's going to be the key for an operator like ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think that the main challenge for me, of course, reaching out to all these new devices, but it's maintaining the legacy and building the new. That's my challenge. And it's not only from a technical point of view, I mean, if you ask me, I would like to have everything based on OTT technology. I would have one set of technology to work with, not 4 different CA vendors and 2 different DRMs. But it's not just a technology question. It's also from the broadcaster, from the content providers, how they allow us. I mean, they stipulate the distribution format for our content rights. So that is hindering our progress into new technology. And I might understand where they're coming from, because today it's a status quo on the market. And by giving rights freely, you open up something that you don't know. But I think that's a challenge, navigating technology, content rights, and the legacy. That is the main challenges.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we don't have not so much time left, but I think you touched on a very important point here. Broadcasters and the content owners, you have 2 things to that, right? You have the national and transnational broadcasters who want to stick to their, say, existing adjacent, say, business models, and then you have these multinational global content partners that also go in direct, right? And in all of this system, you have to stay afloat and at the same time building new services. Chris, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I think again it comes back to kind of the partnerships, and we got some markets where we're kind of really active on it, but it's obviously the broadcasters are indeed under pressure with regards to the kind of the advertising revenues, and in multiple markets what we're doing is we're helping each other to make sure that we can help them backfill those advertising revenues with obviously new propositions that are kind of more B2B style. What helps them to kind of monetize that content. Well, in the end, obviously you can. The content is king. It's still they need to kind of produce the right content that customers want to watch. But I think especially from a technology point of view, we're creating those kind of capabilities in our platform to make sure that we can also address those concerns from broadcasters. That being said, I fully agree with Magnus. Is that and that's very interesting, because obviously what we have is, because we create our own user interface and our own technology, is that we can better accommodate and kind of navigate those different content rights, whether it's Ofcom in one country or kind of the Netherlands with Kijkwijs, or all those things. But there is indeed a navigation that you have, and on top of that, you obviously also have the customer segmentation, where the elderly is maybe interested in a different nuance, maybe more focused to broadcasters, where the younger segments is more kind of just want to get 3 clicks into the app. I think in the end, it's about making sure that the underlying builder blocks are identical, whether we are serving a hybrid box with a kind of an elderly UI, or a streaming device with a youngster UI, or whether it's in the Netherlands or in the UK, or whether it's a kind of off box, i.e. on somebody else's platform, like our Go app, or within a set-top box. In the end, we need to make sure that the underlying building blocks are the same, because that gives us that cost efficiency that we're looking for. So deliver the kind of the same customer experience and the same recognition from a customer point of view across any screen, because any screen is a screen. Yeah. Any screen is a screen. That's a good statement. Unfortunately, we have only 1 minute left, and I've been asked to close out this session. I thank you very much to Chris, Magnus, Yuliya, Nicolas, and Cédric for these really insightful things with technology around pay TV and what your challenges are and what the market is heading to. Usually we have closed yesterday by only dropping off from this panel. I think it's a little bit awkward, but that's how we do it here. Again, thank you very much. I found it a very interesting discussion, and hope to talk to you soon, and I wish you a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you.